Good evening, everyone. It's Dr. McCoy, and it's time for our Thursday gathering. We gather on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm so glad that you're with me on this evening because I really want to just sit here and talk with you about an important topic. All right? So, thank you again. If this is your first time, you can join us even on next week. We're walking through the book of Luke, the Gospel according to Luke. But I'm deviating on this evening because I really want to focus on a particular topic. I have quite a few things that I've read about concerning this topic. And before the month of June ends, I wanted to respectfully give this topic some time. Many of us know that June is National Men's Health Month. It's a perfect time to be aware and open about a subject that many guys, many men, even boys would rather not talk about. And I really want to focus on men's health because it can be challenging to talk about. Now, I'm not a man, so I'm not going to assume so many things. I'm going to simply read to you some factual information that I found and share some men's voices, things that men have shared with me. So, the reason that many men may not want to discuss their health is because there's sometimes stigma attached to men talking about issues, if you will, or topics that bother them or that concern them because of how society views those topics and talking about it. So that's precisely why there is a silent pandemic in this country, and it's probably impacting the men in your life. It's impacting you, men, because people, you, whoever, they don't want to talk about men's health. And so it's impacting your family, impacting our coworkers, teachers, community members, even our friends when we start focusing on men's health, even men's mental health. So the rates of, for example, something like male depression and suicide, those rates have risen dramatically in recent years. According to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, men are almost four times more likely to die by suicide than women. Did you know that? I would contend that many times we can look on social media, we can attend conferences, and women's health is pretty much addressed, and women are open to talking about it, bring in many speakers and professionals. But when it comes to men, thinking about suicide and depression, is there a conference for that? Are there workshops for that? Maybe, but sometimes it's not discussed. And so it's important that we consider that more than 6 million men in the United States experience symptoms of depression every year. So there may be a man close to you, and you may be that man who's experiencing depression, experiencing or having suicide ideation. So these sobering statistics, despite these statistics, a recent survey did reveal that 49% of men felt more depressed than they admitted to people in their lives. So that means that we can't really give folks a hard time when they don't even know that the men in their lives are depressed in the first place, because some men are not admitting to it. Some men are not thinking about what depression really is and that can look like in their lives. So when we think about our society, I said that sometimes it's stigmatized, so that's why we don't have conversations. And perhaps that's why some men don't talk about it, because there's perceptions of weakness when we think about men requiring therapy. There are perceptions of weakness when we think about fears of social disapproval. So because there is this stigma behind men talking about it, where some men may have a fear, socially they won't be approved of, and cultural factors are also some of the main barriers really inhibiting men from seeking mental health assistance. So men with depression, let's talk about that. Let me talk about that a little bit. Men with depression often aren't diagnosed, and if they are diagnosed, then they still, again, may not talk about it. And I'm not saying that every man should come to you about everything that they're dealing with, but it can be helpful to have a discussion, really talking like I am right now, because there are several reasons that Often men are not diagnosed. One reason is failure to recognize depression. So I want to talk about that a little bit on this evening. Some men fail to recognize that they're depressed in the first place, and they hear us saying things like, man up, man up. So then a man may not be diagnosed because they fail to recognize depression, and we're pushing them out of, or trying to, or thinking that we're pushing them out of some things, but also downplaying signs and symptoms. That's another reason men with depression aren't diagnosed. Downplaying signs and symptoms. Another reason, reluctance to discuss depression symptoms, and then resisting mental health treatment. So there are warning signs. I want to share those before the month of June ends as I discuss with you on this evening men's health. June is Men's Health Awareness Month. So according to Families of Depression Awareness, signs of adult depression, which are changes from how the person usually is, may include. Now think about this. What if a man talks very negatively or expresses hopelessness? What if a man starts acting without concern for others? We may give that man a really hard time when what he may be dealing with is adult depression. What if a man starts to abuse alcohol or drugs? What if he's withdrawing from family and friends? What if there's problems concentrating and making decisions or remembering? Also, talking about separation or divorce could be a sign of depression. Another sign could be complaining of physical aches and pains, eating too much or too little, or sleeping too much or too little. So everyone faces challenges. We know that all of us, it's not unique to gender or race or anything like that. Anyone can face challenges and obstacles in life that can really knock us down, but some difficulties can really weigh heavier than others and become mental illness. So this is why it's important to have these conversations. And maybe in your space, you need to bring someone in to talk to the men about these things. We bring people in various spaces. I know because I've been part of community engagement sessions. I've been part of faith community engagements, churches, people, school systems, people concerned as groups of folks, and especially, like I said, women and children. But what about men? What about men? So, I mean, if you begin to notice some of the previous listed warning signs that I mentioned in yourself as a man or in others, if you're not a man, pay attention to the men in your life because it might be time to get professional help. And no, the whole world doesn't have to know about it. There are even organizations that you can find online to help you with an online depression self-check situation. So it's like a tool, a self-check tool, so that you can identify warning signs. Let me just tell you what it is. It's called Heads Up Guys. Heads Up Guys. So let's say that you're a guy and you're wondering if anything that I'm talking about is germane to you and your situation. Or maybe you have a friend, you have a buddy, and you're concerned for him. Well, if you click on Heads Up Guys, it looks like this. Let me show you. So I know it's backwards. But see how it says depression check? Take our depression screening tool. See that? So what this does is it helps you get a better sense of the most common symptoms of depression that impact that and the impact that they may be having on your life. So if I were to click, I could see that this particular tool can help me engage in a way that doesn't include a lot of people. I can do it in the comfort of my home. So if you're a guy, you can just do this because depression really is real, and depression can affect how you think. It can affect what you think about your body and behavior. So then when I scroll down, it says depression check here. All right. So I'm going to click on that to begin the depression check. Okay. So the first thing it says here is it's okay to record your responses. Is it okay? And you can say yes or no. So I'm going to say no, it's not okay. Because this Heads Up Guys, they can use this for research. But let me just say no because I don't feel comfortable with that. That's what I'm going to say. And then I'm going to click on next. Okay, now here come the questions. All right. So listen, if you're a man, listen. Over the past 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by the following problems? And so I scroll down and I'm going to see or I'm clicking next. Okay, the following problems: little interest or pleasure in doing things. Little interest or pleasure in doing things. So I am to record not at all, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day. So I'm going to say I've had little interest or pleasure in doing things. I'm just going to say more than half the days, just to see what happens. And then I'll click on next. Okay, here comes the next question. Okay, over the past 2 weeks, feeling down, depressed, or hopeless? Not at all, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day. So for this heads up, guys, I'm going to click on more than half the days and then click next. Okay, trouble falling asleep or sleeping too much? Not at all, several days, more than half the days, nearly every day. I'm going to say more than half the days and click on next. All right. Feeling tired or having little energy? I'll say several days. Next. Poor appetite or overeating? I'll say several days. Next. Feeling bad about yourself or that you are a failure or have let yourself or your family down? I'll say not at all for that one. Trouble concentrating on things such as reading the newspaper or watching television? I'll say more than half the days. Okay, I'm almost done. See, my progress is up at the top. See there? Okay. Moving or speaking slowly that other people could have noticed, or the opposite, being so fidgety or restless that you have been moving around a lot more than usual? I'll say not at all. Next, thoughts that you would be better off dead or hurting yourself in some way? I'll say more than half the days. Next. All right. So I'm at the end. So here I go. There are my results. It put me there at a 12. Okay. So it says how to manage thoughts of hurting yourself. Okay, so that's what was produced. If you're reading this, it's because you reported having thoughts of hurting yourself or feeling that you would be better off dead. First bullet point, you are not alone. Many people who feel depressed have thoughts of suicide. While such thoughts may be common, they shouldn't be ignored. Bullet 2, the best way to stop thoughts of harming yourself is to quickly address them. Make an appointment with a health professional, a physician, or a therapist to talk openly and honestly about your thoughts. And then bullet point number 3, things may feel dark at times, but you can learn to reduce and better manage these thoughts with the right supports in place. And so there's a few other things here. And see, it says next steps for me if I need next steps. How to reach out in a crisis, overcoming suicidal thoughts. So my score is indicating moderate depression. With symptoms at this level, it's important to prioritize your health and take steps to identify and address underlying causes. Then it says where to start. So you can connect to a professional if that's what you need. And so I'll put this in the chat, okay? In the chat after this presentation, so that if you want to take advantage of this, it's one of those things, my dad used to tell me that men cry in the dark. And so if you are a man and you're currently crying in the dark, just know that there are resources like this that you can use while you're in the dark. And I want you to know that I'm praying for you while you're in the dark, because many times people don't want to talk about that. Even now I should be talking about things to cheer you up automatically. Well, the problem with that is once you are seemingly cheered up, if you are clinically depressed and you have not have an opportunity to seek out the type of professional help that you need, that is like putting a Band-Aid on cancer. So I cheer you, and seemingly you're out of it because you're feeling really cheery. It's like a manic mode of, you're just really, really happy. And then because it's a clinical situation and you have not had the opportunity to seek out a medical doctor, then again, it's like putting a Band-Aid on cancer. And even cancer patients, by choice, they have chemotherapy. Chemotherapy. So put the word in front of therapy that you need to put in front of it, and then make sure you get it. So maybe you need talk therapy. See that? So whatever it is, just remember that your situation and what you're dealing with is just as important as someone with a cancer diagnosis. So again, June is Men's Health Awareness Month. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about a resource and not talk too long. You know, I'm learning more and more that we don't retain everything we hear anyway. So I hope the most important thing that you heard was this Heads Up Guys app, depression check, or website, I should say, so that you can start somewhere with getting the help you need, or you can point a man to the help that he needs. All right. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for being here. And remember, keep our men in prayer and support men as much as you can. Have a great evening.